Festive season spending comes into sharp focus at this time. Now, with the rising cost of living, many will possibly not be spending as much as they would have in previous years. And we'll see, of course, if people will also be taking out loans in order to try and make ends meet. Now, according to a survey by Debt Rescue, it seems some consumers are already under pressure and the spending may not be as much as, one would think. So let's speak now to Debt Rescue SA COO, Annaline van der Poel. Thank you so much for your time. Now, according to the survey, some consumers are likely to cut back on some luxury items. What else are we possibly seeing people buying less of?
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me. Well, indeed, I think it's going to be a combination of luxury items, but also just general spending in terms of how we approach the festive season. In the past, it might have been a bit more extravagant, a little bit more flamboyant. This year, a lot of consumers have said they're taking a very, approach in terms of looking at it a lot more cautiously in terms of how they spend, what they spend it on, and it's definitely it's concerning, obviously, to know that consumers are in such a difficult financial position. But on the other side, it's also good to know that consumers are being cognizant of what's happening in their financial circumstances and actually being proactive and trying to take action to prevent them becoming, even more over-indebted and putting themselves in even more strain financially.
And is that proactive approach the only part, for example, maybe that you're seeing when it comes to the patterns around the spending?
Well, I think that is obviously something that we see as a positive, as I said. But what we are seeing is that consumers have told us that most of them, from other surveys that we've done throughout the year, that most of them are struggling to put food on the table, quite literally, that they are having to turn to credit as it is to literally, keep the lights on and make it from one payday to the next. And we know that for many people, for example, they get paid early in December, and there's this longest 6 weeks until your next payday, which is going to be at the end of January. So, there's definitely a lot of patterns that we've picked up. But like I said, most concerning to us is consumers are not making ends meet, and they're having to turn to credit in the forms of, existing credit cards and store cards they might have, or even looking at payday loans to make it from 1 month to the next.
Annaline, then what does it mean then for the Christmas lunch? Because someone is probably wondering, are we going to be seeing an assortment of meats or what? What are they saying?
Well, I think a lot of them are saying that they're going to be a little bit, like I said, less extravagant than there might have been in the past. But, we're really advocating at this time. This festive season is a time of being together, spending time with your family and your loved ones and so forth. And there's nothing wrong in saying that, guys, my budget is tight. Because, from the statistics we are seeing coming from the regulator, which comes from the credit bureaus at the end of the day, between 1 in 3 and 1 in every 2 people are struggling financially. So if you are brave enough to come forward and say, listen, we can't do things we did in the past. Let's do a bring and share. Everybody brings something, and make it something that's significant. Take the pressure off of the host family, and everybody contributes to it. And it doesn't have to be extravagant. It's about being together. And when it comes to gifting our family ourselves, we've decided this year that for the adults, we're doing Secret Santa. You're buying for one person only, and it's at a maximum set amount. And, because it's not about the gift, it's about the being together. It's about the joy of spending time. And even with children, I read an interesting article a week or so ago where they said, how many of us can remember the gift we got for Christmas when we were 9? We don't. But we remember the fun we had with our family and the quality time we spent. So it doesn't have to be about the value. It's about making the memories and spending it with loved ones and everybody contributing.
I love that, because I'm really exploring the bring and share option this year, and I wonder then, when it comes to traveling, are you seeing that more and more people are going to be traveling, or people are opting to staying at home or closer to home with some relatives who may be close by?
Yeah, we've definitely seen, from consumers that their feedback has been, the long distance traveling has been cut. A lot of them just cannot afford, between the cost of fuel, tight budgets, tolls on the roads, etc., that they have no choice but to cut down, and that they're probably going to be staying home or spending it with family that live closer to them, etc. So definite impact on that. And again, consumers are planning ahead, which we don't think is a bad thing. We think it's actually very, very proactive to think that way, because we have to be realistic about not only our finances, but right now, but looking to the fact that there's still a lot of time before we get that next paycheck.
Annaline, let's speak to someone tonight who is thinking, festive season comes once, it's been a tough year, you live once, I am going to be spending. Come January, I'll be looking at an option of a loan, in order to be able to either buy school clothes, pay school fees, etc. Let's speak to someone who's thinking like that and watching us tonight.
Well, I think I'm going to avoid the horrible B word, budgeting, and I'm going to talk about planning. More than ever, we need to plan. And we don't want January to become January, as it's now being nicknamed. We need to, really be realistic, and we need to sit and go through our bank statements and just have a good look at and see, the opportunities. Where can I maybe make some lifestyle changes, make those cuts, etc. And plan for what's lying ahead. Like you say, if you have children in school, in school, that these expenses are coming. Be smart about your spending when it comes to that. We know that just after Christmas, all the stationery prices are going to be, dropping, for that purpose. Shop smart. Use your community papers. Look at where the opportunities are. And it doesn't have to be a depressing festive season just because we are budget conscious. It can be, like I said, we can make it fun, we can make it creative. There's a lot of things we can do that don't cost the earth. And spending that time with the family and giving the opportunity to have quality time, as opposed to buying gifts that you're buying purely for the sake of buying, is something we don't need to do. And when it comes to me and spending, the rewarding myself, as you said, there's nothing wrong with that either. But be truthful to yourself to what extent you can do that without putting yourself in financial strain in January. So I fully understood. I mean, it's been a long year, it's been a tough year for most consumers, and most of us in this period want to go, I just want to rest a bit, I just want to have a bit of me time. But me time doesn't have to cost the earth.
I love that. I love that. And I'm also stealing the bring and share for Christmas idea. Thank you so much, Annaline. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do appreciate it. That is Debt Rescue SA COO, Annaline van der Poel.